Hello and welcome back to the Quilted Gardener. Today we're going to learn how to do the braided rug. It's very simple, stash buster. Use fabrics that you just have laying around, scraps, old clothes will work. I dropped my piece. It doesn't matter the width of them at all. You don't want dinky winky, but enough to work with. And you're just going to take 3 pieces of fabric. You're going to tie a knot in the end of it so it's kind of loose, so you can start your braid. I hold mine through, with my big toe, and get it started. So don't work with more than 36-inch long lengths, because then it gets too cumbersome and it tangles up and you'll get really frustrated. Before I start, I cut a slit in my fabric. They're the add-on slits, which basically fold the fabric over like this in half and cut it. Make a slit in there. Not a huge one, just enough to get the next piece of fabric through, so that when you get to the end of your fabric, or almost to the end, of course I grabbed a pile that wasn't clipped already. This will be my project clipping tonight while I'm watching So You Think You Can Dance. It's a cloudy, icky day today, so I've been inside all day and just haven't really felt like doing a whole lot. So you clipped both your ends. You're going to stick the new one into the old one, bring the tail up of your new one, put it through, pull it down. Ta-da! You have a knot. Don't pull on it really tight, because you will pop it because you've cut through it. And then you're just going to continue on braiding. You're going to try to get, no more than 25-30 feet, because it gets cumbersome. It will tangle up and you'll get irritated. So once you start to, you get to the point you're ready to sew, you're going to take the knot out that you originally made. You're going to braid that down, and you're going to straight stitch it several times, and then you're going to cut your tails off, and that's going to be your beginning. And you're just going to start with a very small, bend it over, hook like a shepherd's hook, and stitch this part right here with zigzags. And do it pretty heavy, because that is your starting point. Use your widest zigzag that you have on your machine. Length, it's up to you. You'll figure it out when you start stitching what you need to do. And so that's your starting point. Dead center here. I'll show you the back. There. And there. Try to use a thread color that's going to blend in. This is a bluish gray. And all my fabrics are, black, gray, and white. So it's kind of a complementary one. So when you get your center started, go slow when you're stitching, because you will probably end up smushing your finger with the needle bar. Where you put your needle in and screw it down. I've done that so many times. So go slow, because it's going to freak you out when you do it. This is nothing like a jelly roll rug, or the rug where you wrap the fabric around the clothesline, anything like that. This does not require extra things you need to go out and buy. This is scraps. This fabric, for me, I had a ton of it downstairs, so I decided to shred it up, rip it up, however, to make rugs out of. So this one's actually going to become a basket later on today in the next video that I'm doing. So you got your center started, and you just start coiling it around and around and around. Go slow until you get to about that big. Make sure your stitches are catching between the two, because what it's doing is you're laying the 2 braids that you're stitching side by side. You want to stitch in the center of where these meet. So when you first start, go slow. I mean, I've done several of these, so I go a little faster, but not hugely, like a good pace. and you keep building it. The biggest thing to remember is to let this stay slack. Do not make it tight, because if you do, you're gonna start getting a curve, or a warp. Oops, I went too far. There we go. So, make sure I'm all threaded up and everything here. So I just really keep it, all in my lap. So I'm gonna go down to my sewing here. And, I have it, this foot has a split in it. So I keep that split of my foot in between my two pieces here. Let's see, let me come in a little bit more here. Here, my split on my presser foot is between my two seams that are right here. It's hard to see the way I've got it angled right now. So you want to keep that between the two pieces. And now I got to reset my stitch. Hold on. All right. So, starting off slow here. And I mean, you can do some take-up stitching, front, back stitch, so that it holds it in place. Am I not threaded? Yeah, okay, I am. But because this one was already started, I'm not going to do that. So, it's just going, a nice, decent pace. But the big thing is this piece that's over here, your tail, that's on the right, your tail here, is that it's kind of laying in your lap so that when your machine feed dogs are pulling it through, it does have that ability to run ahead of the portion that you're already working on. And you'll have to stop here and now to pull the braid out of your presser foot. It'll get caught in there. Keeping a stiletto handy is good, just to keep it going. And you're going to turn it and twist it and that kind of thing to keep your flat side of your braid down. Flat side really does... What am I caught on here? There we go. The flat side is the wide side. You'll know when it's up on its edge because it'll be narrow. When you come to your connector knots, it is a little more difficult. So just take your time getting over that. Push it together at that point. And you're just going to keep going around and around in a circle. Ooh. And I still hit my finger with that needle bar. And it still scares me. Your left hand is your driving hand. Your right hand is your guiding hand. Your right hand's going to guide your loose. Your left hand is going to turn your piece. So, and like I said, go slow when you first start so that you can keep things lined up. The most important part about this whole process is keeping it flat. If you don't keep it flat, I'm going to take a couple stitches up here. If you don't keep it flat on your table, you're going to start curving, and you're going to create a sombrero. That's not what you want for your rug. So, when you need to, what I do is I do my 25 feet of the stitching, and then I'll go back and braid some more, about another 25 feet. And I keep doing that until I reach where I want to be. So, as far as the width, the biggest thing is to have a table in front of you, a table next to you, so that you keep your piece flat, because if it starts hanging off the edge, you know, like this, that's how it's going to start stitching, and it's going to start turning it so that it rolls up like that. You don't want it to do that for your rug. Your basket, you do. We'll get to that in the next video. So that's pretty much it. It's a big long braid of fabric, and you stitch it together. You can do an oval. I don't like doing those, just because they get cumbersome. The round is really easy, especially when you have, you know, a lot of table space to keep it on. On average, I do about 3 foot wide on mine, and then I just, you know, it gets a little too big, and it starts getting heavy. So to wash these, I do mine in the bathtub because I have an agitator washer, and it would be, you know, set it off balance, and then I just let it air dry after I've wrung it out. Otherwise, I just take it out on the front porch and I shake it out. It's, you know, pretty simple with that. They, you know, they hold up. My grandmother made these out of cream bread bags, and then she did do the fabric ones too. So this amount, it's about 12 inches, I'd say. I don't have my tape measure down here. Took me about 45 minutes after I got it braided. So you just keep braiding more, stitching more, braiding more, stitching more until you get to the size that you want. And then leave your end on, because if you go back and decide you want to make it bigger, you can add on to it. Or otherwise you can take and pull your tails into your braid and stitch that into place, and that'll end it. But if you think you might want to add more to it, then don't pull those tails through and stitch them in. You can pull them through and leave them so that you can pull them back out at a later time, but I still would do some straight stitching there. So if you have any questions, leave me a comment in the comment section below, and I'll get back to you as soon as I can. Until then, subscribe, like, share, and see you next time.